Hello, my name is Jet Hoover. These are my far too early match card predictions for the Crown Jewel PLE taking place in Perth, Western Australia. To start things off, let's talk about John Cena's final opponent in Australia. I believe that there is probably three different sort of options that we need to look at for who his opponent's going to be at this PLE. First option, I think, is probably Bronson Reed. We did see Seth and his faction, that is, interacting with Cena at the Night of Champions PLE during his match with CM Punk. So we could possibly see a story where Cena joins forces with Cody Rhodes, who we're going to talk about a bit later, to help take down the faction. And that, of course, would involve Cena having a match against Bronson Reed. Also, because Bronson Reed is from Australia, giving him a big match in Australia, such as Cena's final match in Australia, would be good for Bronson Reed, I believe. A second option that I think we need to look at is Grayson Waller. Similarly to Bronson Reed, Grayson Waller is, of course, from Australia. Giving him a big match against John Cena in Australia would be good for him. And also, in the road to this PLE, on all of the local news, we have seen Grayson Waller sort of talking about Cena and stuff like that. So I think that Bronson Reed and Grayson Waller are two good options of who we need to look at for who Cena's opponent will be. But the third option, and the person who I'm going to officially predict to be John Cena's opponent in Australia at the Crown Jewel PLE, is Logan Paul. Now, before you go comment something nasty, because that is a very outrageous prediction, I do agree with you, just hear me out on this. So, John Cena versus Logan Paul is, let's face it, whether you like it or not, you watching this video, whether you like it or not, is something that we are going to see this year. It is a match that it just will happen this year. And if we look at the time that Cena has left and the dates that he has left, he only has 3 PLEs left. One being Clash in Paris. I think at Clash in Paris, we're going to see Cena versus Brock, or Cena versus AJ. The last one being Survivor Series. And if John Cena's final Survivor Series was against Logan Paul, I think there would be an uproar in the IWC, let's be real. And of course, we also have his final match in December at the unannounced PLE. And again, same thing, if his final opponent was Logan Paul, we wouldn't have a very happy IWC, let's just say. So that leaves Crown Jewel Perth. And I don't know why. If you asked me to explain it, I just couldn't. John Cena versus Logan Paul, it just makes sense to happen in Perth. I don't know why, I can't explain it. But those are the reasons why I believe we will see Logan Paul versus John Cena in Perth, Western Australia at the Crown Jewel PLE. Now let's try and predict the 2 Crown Jewel Championship matches. This is, of course, the other 2 matches that we know are going to take place at the PLE. One on the men's side and one on the women's side. First, let's take a look at the women's side of things. I believe that we're going to see Jade Cargill versus Naomi for the Crown Jewel Women's Championship. That's my official prediction. I think that Naomi is going to retain over Stephanie Vaquer at Clash in Paris. And then I think we're going to see Jade Cargill versus Tiffany Stratton in a SummerSlam rematch also at Clash in Paris. And Jade Cargill is going to beat Tiffany Stratton for the Women's Championship. And then that leaves us with Naomi versus Jade Cargill for the Women's Crown Jewel Championship. Now, Jade Cargill and Naomi have, of course, also had 2 other previous matches, one at WrestleMania and one at Evolution, which I quite enjoyed. And I think that they not only have earned, but they also deserve a 3rd match to end their sort of trilogy. And yeah, I think we're going to see that at Crown Jewel for the Women's Crown Jewel Championship. Now, over on the men's side of things, we of course saw Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins walking out of SummerSlam with their brands' respective world championships. For this prediction, I'm just going to keep it simple. I think we're going to see Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins for the men's Crown Jewel Championship. We're not going to have any title changes at Clash in Paris or any other shows before the Crown Jewel PLE, and that's going to be our men's Crown Jewel Championship match. I personally quite enjoyed their 3 matches that happened back when Cody returned back in 2022. And I think after they've sort of settled their differences, and joined together to take down the Bloodline at WrestleMania 40. And now Seth Rollins has sort of flipped back to being a heel. I think that's going to be quite an interesting match to happen at Crown Jewel Perth. And yeah, so those are my predictions for the 2 Crown Jewel Championship matches. We're going to see Naomi versus Jade Cargill, and we're going to see Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins. Now, next up for our 4th match, I think we are going to see a Women's Tag Team Championship match, where Sol Ruca and Zarya will challenge for and win the Women's Tag Team Championships. Say about a month or 2 ago, maybe, we saw a backstage interaction on NXT between Sol Ruca and Zarya and the then Women's Tag Team Champions Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Now, as for who I think that the match will be against, I'm just going to keep it simple, and I'm going to say that the Allies of Convenience, Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair, are going to hold on to the Women's Tag Team Championships all the way to Crown Jewel, and we're going to see Sol Ruca and Zarya versus Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair for the Women's Tag Team Championships. And for match number 5, I think that we're going to see Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky. Now, we've seen the story develop over the last few years that Rhea Ripley cannot beat Io Sky. She's had multiple opportunities in triple threats, one-on-ones, tag team matches, and she can never get the best out of Io Sky. We saw that again this past weekend at SummerSlam, where Rhea Ripley had Io Sky beat in that triple threat match after hitting the Avalanche Riptide. I think it was an Avalanche Riptide, yeah. A Riptide of some description, and Naomi came in and rolled Rhea up to steal the win. I think that Rhea Ripley pinning Io Sky has now been built up as this big moment that could probably take place at WrestleMania, let's be real. But as Rhea Ripley is an Australian, I think that that moment is going to hit just a little bit harder if it takes place at an Australian PLE, which is why I think that we're going to see Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky, and Rhea Ripley is going to win and finally get the better of Io Sky. Now for match number 6, I think we see a Grayson Waller match. Of course, at the Elimination Chamber PLE at Optus Stadium, we saw Grayson Waller in the Grayson Waller effect with Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. I think we may see a Grayson Waller effect with John Cena. A lot of people think that John Cena's opponent will be Grayson Waller at this PLE just because of all the local news that Grayson Waller did during the announcement of the PLE, and he spoke about John Cena a lot. I think maybe on the SmackDown before we see the Grayson Waller effect with John Cena first of all. But I think that Grayson Waller's opponent at the Crown Jewel PLE is going to be Austin Theory. Of course, this A-Town Down Under, breakup storyline has been going on for what feels like forever. And there was just an abrupt ending in a backstage segment with the New Day. And I think that they went ahead and did that ending there because they want to save the blow-off, the interactions between the two in the lead-up to the Crown Jewel Perth PLE, so that we can see Grayson Waller get a big victory possibly, or just anything, have a big match at the PLE. So yeah, I think that we are going to see Grayson Waller versus Austin Theory to finally end this A-Town Down Under breakup storyline. Now for our 7th and final match, I'm just going to throw in Dominic Mysterio versus AJ Styles for the Intercontinental Championship here. Now selfishly, I am making this prediction because I do want to see AJ Styles at this PLE. But also, I think it is a semi-logical prediction because I think that they're going to end up having a 3-match series across multiple PLEs. Whether that be SummerSlam, which we've already seen, then Clash in Paris, then Crown Jewel Perth. I think they're going to have a 3-match series where AJ Styles is going to end the feud winning the Intercontinental Championship, as he has mentioned that he is on his way to retiring, and I think they want to give him one final championship reign. So yeah, that is my final match prediction for the Intercontinental Championship. We will see Dominic Mysterio versus AJ Styles. So those have been my predictions for what I think will be a 7-match card PLE taking place in Perth. That was also my very first YouTube video. So if you feel free to let me know in the comments which one of my predictions you agreed with, which one of my predictions you disagreed with. I feel like a lot of people will disagree with my prediction that Logan Paul will be John Cena's opponent. So feel free to let me know who you think John Cena's final opponent will be and why. After the Crown Jewel PLE, we're going to be doing a review. And also closer to the PLE, when more of the matches have been announced, we're going to compare the predictions I made in this video to the actual match card. And yeah, that has been my first YouTube video. Thanks for watching.